Welcome back to Edzy, your personal AI tutor. I am Gaurav, and you are listening with Swati as we revise the Class 7 English chapter Animals, Birds, and Doctor Dolittle from Purvi. Keep a notebook nearby if you have one, but you can also simply listen and revise. We will focus on the sequence of events and the grammar questions, along with the plot, Polynesia, animal communication, the horse's spectacles, humor, empathy, vocabulary, compound words, palindromes, tenses, important questions, and exam tips. I will anchor the concepts calmly, and Swati will keep checking what you remember.
That is a useful plan because this chapter is not only about a doctor who talks to animals, it also asks us to notice how communication works, how humor is created, and how a person can learn by listening to a different point of view. So do not worry if the chapter feels playful at first. We will keep returning to the evidence in the story and convert it into clear exam answers.
Our listening method is simple. First, hear the story as a connected journey. Then, when Swati asks a question, answer aloud or write a few words before we continue. Finally, compare your thought with the explanation. This is active recall, not a test meant to frighten you. If a doubt appears, note it and return to it during the recap. The goal is understanding the chapter well enough to explain it in your own words.
Before reading, the chapter asks us to think about pets and domestic animals. Do you have one? If you do, why do people spend time with it? If you do not, what might be a reason? There is no single correct personal answer here. The important idea is observation. Spending time with an animal can help us notice its habits, sounds, movements, and responses.
Exactly. The opening activity prepares us for the main idea that animals communicate even when they do not use human speech. The chapter also asks whom you would like to speak to if you had the chance. That question invites imagination, but it also directs attention towards the needs and feelings of another living creature. Keep that connection in mind while we meet Dr. Dolittle.
There is one more preparation point: body language. The chapter says that close observation of animals and birds can help us understand what they want to tell us. Their ears, feet, tails, and other movements may communicate something. The story later develops this idea through Jip, the dog. So the titles Animals and Birds are connected not just with talking, but with careful noticing.
Now let us enter the story. Dr. Dolittle is sitting in his kitchen, speaking with the cat's food man, who has come because of a stomachache. The cat's food man suggests that Dolittle should stop being a people's doctor and become an animal doctor. His reason is specific. Dolittle knows much more about animals than the local veterinarians and understands the way they think.
Let us check the reason carefully. Is the suggestion connected with fees, with Dolittle disliking people, or with the fact that animals speak less? No. The correct reason is that Dolittle knows more about animals than the local veterinarians. The cat's food man even refers to Dolittle's book about cats and says that Dolittle understands how they think.
A small vocabulary point appears here. The cat's food man says that his wife Theodosia is a scholar. A scholar is a learned person. This detail also creates a light, humorous contrast. The cat's food man cannot read or write himself, but his wife reads Dolittle's book to him. The chapter often uses ordinary conversations to reveal character while keeping the tone playful.
The parrot Polynesia has been sitting by the window, looking at the rain and singing a sailor song. She stops singing and listens to the conversation. After the cat's food man leaves, she flies to the doctor's table and strongly supports his advice. Notice her personality. She is confident, direct, and practical. She does not merely agree, she gives Doolittle a reason to act.
Dolittle replies that there are already plenty of animal doctors. Polynesia agrees, but says that they are not useful enough. Then she reveals the surprising idea that animals can talk. Dolittle says he knows parrots can talk, but Polynesia explains that parrots can use two languages: people's language and bird language. This revelation changes the direction of the entire story.
Polynesia gives a bird language example. She says a sound that means, in bird language, whether the porridge is hot yet. Doolittle is surprised because he has never understood that language before. When he asks why she had not used it earlier, her answer is humorous and logical. there would have been no use because he would not have understood her.
This exchange gives us two important exam observations. First, Dolittle's reaction shows surprise and curiosity, not anger or fear. Second, Polynesia is a good teacher because she explains, demonstrates, responds to his questions, and teaches him gradually. When he asks her not to go too fast, he brings a book and pencil and begins writing the bird words down.
Take a short pause and answer this. How does Dolittle respond to a new and unexpected idea? He does not dismiss it. He becomes excited, asks for more information, and prepares to record it. That readiness to learn from Polynesia highlights the importance of listening to different viewpoints. A good answer should mention his curiosity, openness, and willingness to learn.
The rainy afternoon becomes a learning session. Polynesia sits on the kitchen table and gives Dolittle words, which he writes in his book. The phrase birds ABC refers to the language that birds speak. The detail is amusing because the doctor treats this new language almost like a serious subject of study, complete with notes and an alphabet.
Then Jip, the dog, enters at tea time. Polynesia tells Dolittle that Jip is talking to him, but Dolittle thinks the dog is only scratching his ear. This is a key moment because Polynesia broadens the meaning of language. Animals do not always speak with their mouths. They can communicate through their ears, feet, tails, noses, and other movements.
Jip touches one side of his nose. Polynesia interprets this as a question about whether Dolittle can see that the rain has stopped. The humor comes from Dolittle seeing an ordinary action while Polynesia understands it as meaningful communication. The scene also teaches us not to assume that silence means the absence of thought or feeling.
Let us test the extract question. The phrase good gracious can be replaced by which word? Bravo, gosh, alas, or hooray. The best answer is gosh because both expressions show surprise. Polynesia had not used bird language earlier because Doolittle would not have understood it. The cracker crumbs show that she had been eating a dry biscuit. So the statement about her munching food is true.
Notice how the extract question tests several skills at once: vocabulary, inference, true or false reading, and identifying emotion. Doolittle's feeling is surprise. The words good gracious and my, you do not say so show that he is amazed by information he had not known earlier. In an answer, use the exact evidence from the exchange rather than simply writing that he was happy. Agree was he?
Here is a common misconception. The chapter does not say that every animal uses exactly the same sign or movement. It presents the idea that animals communicate in their own ways and that Dolittle learns to understand them. Therefore, in a long answer, do not claim that one nose movement has one universal meaning for every animal. Keep your explanation tied to Jip and Polynesia's interpretation.
With Polynesia's help, Dolittle learns animal language so well that he can speak to animals and understand what they say. He then gives up being a people's doctor altogether. This is not a random decision. It follows a sequence: someone identifies his strength, Polynesia reveals a new possibility, Dolittle studies the language, and his understanding becomes useful in treatment.
Can you predict what happens next? If animals can finally explain their pain to a doctor who understands them, they may come for help. That is exactly what happens. Old ladies bring pet pugs and poodles that have eaten too much cake, while farmers travel many miles with sick cows and sheep. Word spreads quickly because the animals and their owners trust Doolittle's ability.
The story's humor is visible even in the kinds of patients who arrive. Some pets have eaten too much cake, while farm animals have more serious needs. The mixture of human-like conversations and unusual medical situations makes the narrative whimsical. Yet the humor does not cancel the serious message. It helps us notice that animals have needs that people may overlook.
A likely question asks whether Dr. Dolittle would become famous as an animal doctor. The answer should be yes, because he understands animal languages, listens to their symptoms, identifies their problems, and treats them effectively. The later events confirm this prediction. Animals tell their brothers and friends, more creatures arrive, and his reputation spreads far beyond his immediate neighborhood.
Now it is the most memorable episode involving a plow horse. The horse is going blind in one eye. A veterinarian has treated it for 6 weeks with large pills but has not even examined the horse's eyes. The horse explains that it tried to communicate, but the veterinarian could not understand horse language.
The horse identifies the solution itself: spectacles. This is important because the animal is not presented as helpless or without intelligence. It understands its own difficulty and expresses what it needs. Dolittle's role is to listen properly and respond. The horse asks for green spectacles like the doctor's because they will keep the sun out of its eyes while it is plowing the field.
Dolittle immediately agrees to provide green spectacles. The solution is both practical and funny because readers may not expect to see farm animals wearing glasses. After the spectacles are provided, the horse stops going blind in one eye and can see as well as before. The countryside around Puddleby soon sees farm animals wearing glasses, and a blind horse becomes unknown there.
Let us walk through the extract based questions. In the analogy, digging is connected with a flower bed, while plowing is connected with a field. The doctor's attitude is understanding because he listens to the horse and accepts its explanation. Doctors may take animals for granted because animals do not complain in human language, so their problems can be missed.
If asked whether you agree with the horse's concluding statement, give a balanced, reasoned response. You may agree because treating animals requires understanding their language and noticing signs that humans might miss. The story supports this through the horse's untreated eye problem. Do not write only yes or no. State your view and connect it to communication, observation, and proper care.
The horse also makes a sharp observation. People think anybody can doctor animals merely because animals do not complain. That line contains criticism. Silence is mistaken for absence of pain. The chapter challenges this assumption by allowing the horse to describe its exact problem. So the animal is humorous, but its words also expose careless treatment.
A useful answer frame is this. The horse was suffering because it was losing sight in one eye, but the veterinarian treated it without understanding the real problem. Doolittle listened in horse language, accepted the horse's need for spectacles, and arranged green glasses. This shows that communication leads to accurate understanding, while failure to listen can lead to unsuitable treatment.
After the horse's successful treatment, the story expands from one patient to an entire community of animals. Animals explain where they feel pain and how they feel. Because Doolittle understands them, treatment becomes easier. This is the practical value of communication in the chapter. It does not remain a magical trick. It helps the doctor diagnose individual problems.
The animals then return to tell their brothers and friends about the doctor in the little house with the big garden. This detail explains how Dolittle's reputation grows. His fame is not based on an advertisement or a claim. It grows through experience, successful treatment, and communication among the animals themselves.
The range of visitors becomes wider. Horses, cows, and dogs arrive, but so do harvest mice, badgers, and bats. The phrase little things of the fields shows that Dolittle does not value only large or familiar animals. His care extends to creatures that might easily be ignored. That is strong evidence for the theme of equal concern for living beings.
Soon his garden is crowded, so he creates separate entrances. Horses use the front door, cows the side door, and sheep the kitchen door. Even mice receive a tiny tunnel into the cellar. This arrangement is humorous, but it also demonstrates individual attention. Every kind of animal is given a suitable way to enter and wait for treatment.
If a question asks how Doolittle gives equal and individual attention, mention 3 points. He understands each animal's language, listens to the location and nature of its pain, and makes arrangements for different kinds of creatures, including a tiny tunnel for mice. His care is shown through actions, not only through kind words.
The birds that travel to other countries in winter carry the news even farther. Animals in foreign lands hear about Dolittle, who understands their talk and helps them in their troubles. In a few years, every living thing for many miles knows about him, and he becomes famous among animals all over the world. The ending shows both success and personal fulfillment.
We have now completed the first major movement of the story. Dolittle begins as a people's doctor. The cat's food man suggests a change. Polynesia reveals animal language. Dolittle learns through patient study, understands body language, treats the horse, and then receives many more patients. Keep this chain in mind because sequencing questions often test whether you understand cause and effect.
Here is a quick active recall challenge. Without looking back, name the two people or creatures who encouraged Doolittle to become an animal doctor. Then name the animal whose eye problem is solved with spectacles. Finally, explain in one sentence why Doolittle becomes famous. Try answering before Swati gives you the model points.
The two influences are the cat's food man and Polynesia. The patient is the plow horse. And Doolittle becomes famous because he understands animal language, identifies their problems, treats them successfully, and gains their trust. If your answer included only the magical ability to talk, add the ideas of listening, care, and effective treatment. This is a good moment to use Edzy for an exact doubt if one has come up, such as why the horse's spectacles matter to the theme or how to frame the answer about Polynesia. A useful question is not simply what is the answer? Ask which detail from the story proves the answer. That small change makes revision more thoughtful.
Let us move from events to ideas. The first major theme is empathy. Empathy means trying to understand another being's feelings and needs. Doolittle does not treat animals as silent objects. He learns their languages, hears where they hurt, and responds to their experiences. The horse's story is especially important because it shows what happens when empathy is absent.
The second theme is communication. Communication is not limited to spoken human words. Polynesia uses bird language as an example, and Jip communicates through movement. The chapter suggests that understanding requires attention to different forms of expression. In an answer, connect communication with observation. Dolittle succeeds because he learns to notice and interpret what animals are expressing.
The third theme is compassion for all living beings. Dolittle helps not only pets and farm animals, but also small field creatures such as harvest mice, badgers, and bats. The separate doors in the mouse tunnel are comic details, yet they make the message visible. Each creature is welcomed, considered, and given access to care.
There is also gentle humor throughout the chapter. A parrot teaches a doctor a bird's ABC. A dog asks a question with its nose. A plow horse requests green spectacles. A crowded house needs different animal doors. These situations are amusing because they place familiar human activities such as speaking, visiting a doctor, and wearing glasses in the world of animals.
The humor also supports the lesson instead of distracting from it. By imagining animals speaking clearly, the writer makes us question our own assumptions. We may laugh at the horse wearing glasses, but we also understand that the horse has a genuine problem and can explain it. That combination of comedy and seriousness gives the chapter its charm.
A likely long answer question asks, which qualities make Doolittle famous? Think of a compact evidence chain. He is curious enough to learn, attentive enough to understand, compassionate enough to care, and capable enough to treat animals. His fame comes after successful help, and the animals spread the news. Always include evidence rather than listing qualities without explanation.
What does Polynesia contribute to the story? She is a guide, teacher, observer, and supporter. She first listens to the cat's food man, then encourages Doolittle, explains that animals have their own language, demonstrates bird language, and interprets Jip's behavior. Without her guidance, Doolittle may not have discovered how to use his understanding of animals.
Do not describe Polynesia as merely a talking bird. That would miss her importance. She has confidence and knowledge, but she is also a patient trainer. She asks Dolittle to notice details, gives him examples, and teaches him slowly. Her role proves that learning often begins when we listen seriously to someone whose viewpoint is different from our own.
Let us clarify a few words. A scholar is a learned person. A cracker is a thin, dry biscuit, usually eaten with cheese. The countryside means a rural area. A cellar is a room below ground level, often used for storage. These meanings may appear in vocabulary or reading questions, so learn them through the story situation rather than memorizing isolated definitions.
The word veterinarian is also important because it means an animal doctor. In the story, the local veterinarian fails to understand the plow horse's problem. Ailment means an illness or health problem, while reputation means the opinion people or animals have about someone built over time. Dolittle's reputation grows after his treatments prove helpful.
Look at the phrase gives up being a people's doctor. Here, gives up means stops doing something, not hands over an object. The phrase word spreads means that information travels from one person or group to another. These phrases are useful for summary writing because they describe the change in Dolittle's work and the growth of his fame clearly.
Now we enter the language section. The chapter introduces compound words. A compound word is formed by combining two words to create a new meaning. The examples show three forms. Cat's food man is hyphenated. Bird language is an open compound word written as separate words. Flower pots is a closed compound word written as one word.
From the chapter's word list, check-in is hyphenated, sailor song and plow horse are open compound words, and flower pots is closed. Other examples include harvest mice and windowsill as open compounds. Do not decide only by meaning. In a grammar question, observe how the words are written and place them under the correct heading.
The chapter also asks you to create compounds by matching parts. For example, fun joins loving to make fun loving, high joins flying to make high flying, and early joins risers to make early risers. Song joins birds to make songbirds. Over joins tops to make over the tops. Tree joins tops to make tree tops. And never joins ending to make never ending.
Next comes the palindrome. A word, phrase, or sequence that reads the same forwards and backwards is called a palindrome. The chapter gives examples such as a sentence about stepping on no pets, and phrases involving a race car, a radar, and bees in a cave. In an exam, check the letters carefully and remember that spaces and punctuation do not change the central idea.
Here is your check. Which part of the sentence, that stupid man over the hill never even looked at my eyes, forms a palindrome? The words over the hill never even looked at my eyes read the same backwards when considered as a sequence of letters after ignoring spaces. The important exam skill is to identify the complete highlighted sequence, not just one ordinary word.
The grammar exercises distinguish present continuous and simple present. In he is asking you a question, the verb phrase is in the present continuous form. In I am going blind in one eye, the action or condition is also presented through the present continuous structure. In there are plenty of animal doctors and anybody thinks he can doctor animals, the relevant verbs are in the simple present.
Now compare the present perfect examples. Has got shows a present situation that is relevant at the time of speaking. Has stopped describes an action recently completed. The present perfect is formed with has or have plus the third form of the verb. It can show a recently completed action, a past action still relevant now, or an action where the focus is on the action rather than its exact time.
Apply the structure to the chapter-based paragraph. Dr. Dolittle has learned to communicate, has treated countless animals, Polynesia has taught him bird language, and he has written books. Many people have brought sick animals to his door, and he has become renowned worldwide. The repeated use of has or have plus third form is the clue.
A common mistake is to use the past form after has or have. Do not write has learn or have bring. The correct forms are has learned and have brought. Another mistake is to call every sentence with a present time meaning present continuous. Look for the structure and the function. Is the sentence describing an action in progress, a regular or general truth, or a completed action connected with the present?
Let us arrange the main story events. First, the cat's food man visits Dolittle and suggests treating animals. Next, Polynesia encourages him and reveals animal language. Dolittle learns the languages and stops treating people. Then the horse comes with a vision problem and receives green spectacles. After that, animals arrive in large numbers, special doors are installed, and Dolittle becomes famous worldwide.
Try the sequence independently. Which comes earlier? The animals crowding the garden or the horse receiving spectacles? Which comes earlier? Dolittle learning animal language or the cat's food man suggesting the new profession? The answers are horse before crowding and the suggestion before learning. Sequence questions become easier when you track the words then, after a while, as soon as, and in a few years.
For the question about Polynesia as a good trainer, write that she teaches patiently and practically. She explains that parrots use two languages, gives an example of bird language, supplies bird words for Dolittle to write, and explains Chip's body language. These details prove that she is not merely making a claim, she actively trains Dolittle until he can communicate with animals.
For the question about listening to different viewpoints, begin with Dolittle's initial response. He thinks there are already plenty of animal doctors, but he does not shut down Polynesia's idea. He listens, becomes curious, asks for more information, and records what she teaches. This shows that openness to another viewpoint can lead to a new ability and a meaningful change in life.
Another question asks, what might happen if people suddenly gain Dolittle's ability? Since this is an imaginative response, connect it responsibly to the chapter's ideas. People might understand animals' pain and feelings better, communicate their needs, and care for them more thoughtfully. A strong answer should mention both the new understanding and the greater compassion that could result.
For a short answer, use a simple structure. Make the point, give the story detail, and explain what it shows. For example, Dolittle becomes famous because his communication makes treatment effective. Animals tell their friends about him. Many kinds of creatures visit, and birds carry the news to other countries. Therefore, his fame is earned through understanding, successful care, and trust.
Do not ignore the chapter's writing and speaking activities. A note is a formal means of communication for a particular group. It should have a heading, the reason for writing, date, time, venue, relevant instructions, and contact information. The health checkup notice in the chapter reminds students of grades 6 to 8 to collect their health cards and includes the assembly hall as the venue.
We are entering the final section now. The chapter moves from imagination to a clear message. Animals have thoughts, feelings, languages, and ways of showing discomfort. Doolittle succeeds because he listens and observes. Polynesia teaches him. The horse exposes careless treatment. The green spectacles create humor, while the crowded garden and separate doors show his growing individualized care.
Let us close with the most important ideas. Dr. Little changes from a people's doctor to an animal doctor after the cat's food man in Polynesia recognizes his understanding of animals. Polynesia teaches him animal language, including communication through body movements. He helps the plow horse with green spectacles, listens to every creature, and becomes famous because trust spreads through successful care. Remember one common mistake. Do not say animals communicate only through sounds. Jip's ears, feet, tail, and nose are important evidence. Your next step is to write a 6-point event sequence and one paragraph on empathy using two story details. If you want to test yourself later, use Edzy's active recall style and explain the chapter without looking at your notes. Well done for revising patiently with us. I am Gaurav, Swati, and I will meet you in the next lesson.